So as I mentioned, we have the wands are associated with fire, pentacles with earth, the swords with wind, and the cups with water. It's interesting to understand it from the astrological perspective because you can kind of relate it there. But also, I think the more time that you spend with the different suits, the more that you come to understand the stories of each suit. And so, yeah, so I just want to check in with you because it's around 8 o'clock now, and I figured we've gone over all the major arcana. We went over all of the court cards, and I wanted to know if you would prefer to. We could keep going through literally all of the suits, but maybe what we could do is pick cards from your deck and then just like do, and then kind of try to figure out what they mean, or we could do them ad hoc. I don't know. Or we could continue going through it in this respect. What do you think?
I mean, my only question currently is the numbers probably don't change very much because obviously it's going to count from 1 to, I'm guessing, 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing the major change in terms of numbers will be its relation to signs as opposed to like what's like the number itself. Does that make sense?
In the minor arcana, I actually generally wouldn't associate I don't personally associate these with astrological signs. Or for example, Ace isn't necessarily Aries. This is the fire. This is the wands is associated with fire. And maybe this could be parlayed into an Aries energy, but I actually, for the minor arcana, I don't typically associate them with, like, for example, 5 isn't Leo and 4 isn't Cancer.
Okay.
Yeah. They do have their own meaning, but it doesn't correspond neatly with the numbers.
They blew it.
They didn't figure that part out. I don't know what to tell you. It was right there. So obvious, and yet no. But anyway, yeah, what do you think? Do you want to go through it like this, or do you want to, or we could go through it quickly and then we can go through cards?
Let's go through it quickly and then we'll go through cards.
Okay, cool. So minor arcana. So the major things I would say about, again, each minor arcana is that they speak to a story. So if you're looking, when you go through the deck, and maybe this is in yours, and maybe you'll get one of these, you'll get one of the Rider-Waite decks at one point. You'll notice that there's just a teleology between the ace. Every deck has an ace, and then there's a story that gets parlayed into the next one. So we have the beginning. So an ace always represents the beginning of this particular kind of journey. So the beginning of a fire journey, something led by inspiration, belief, curiosity, and expansion. So the way that you can kind of almost say this is you could take numerology and combine it with the suit. So you say, so I have a 2 which is associated with like relating and relationships and a kind of a harmony between 2 polarities. And that's what I'm kind of applying to the 2 of Wands, is the sense of unity, of balance, of seeing options, seeing things from different perspectives and trying to understand what my next move could be. He's like holding a globe saying like, I could literally go anywhere, I could literally do anything. What would it mean to travel, to be far away, to try something new? The 3 of Cards is a similar energy, but it's, excuse me. There we go. It's it's looking out again over the horizon and acknowledging that this is actually specifically because 3 is often associated with communication, the way in which communication with distant lands can bring in a sense of newness and opportunity and consideration. The 4 of Pentacles is often thought of as the card of marriage and a kind of stability. It's also the card of marriage because it's not only fours are very stable in numerology. It's like 4 points, 4 legs on a table, stable table. So this is like a kind of passionate stability, which is very much the best of both worlds. The Five of Wands is similar to the Five of Swords, but in the Five of Wands, it's always people fighting, but playfully. They're fighting almost like as actors in a stage play, and they're fighting, or the kids fighting with sticks. They're trying to win, but they're not necessarily trying to hurt each other, which is important. The Six of Wands is about, I mean, as you can see, it's about success, it's about winning, it's about being recognized for what you have accomplished. And to follow that, you have the Seven of Wands, which is basically making sure that people aren't, you're able to like defend your success. And people, I always associate this as like people coming for you because you're just so successful that you have to like fight them back and tell them and like put them in their place and say like, stop being jealous of me, stop coming for me, like it's not about you. Something else to consider about the wands is that they're, let's say, sometimes too much wand energy, fire energy is like too much ego. So you have to think about, how does my pride play a role in this? Because it's a very fire kind of like fault, if you will. The Eight of Wands, you can't tell in this deck, it's not very clear, but it's always associated with like movement, communication, and overseas travel. The imagery is like, it's if you threw 8 wands at once and they were being caught midair. It's that forward momentum, that motion of overseas travel, talking, communicating, and like being in the world in a global sense. The Nine of Wands is associated with, let's see, barriers and boundaries. And this guy has literally created a wall around himself, and he's keeping people out because he's under attack. It's similar to the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Wands is like able to successfully like fight people, but there's no, they're just on like a mountain cliff hitting down. The Nine is actually able to use the wands to fortify himself against invaders. The Ten of Wands is a card that's associated with hard work and complete, because all the tens represent completion. This is the completion of a fire lesson or a fire cycle. So this is associated with difficult journeys, difficult burdens, and also doing work that's worth doing because it feels important. It feels like a task worth doing. This is, I mean, think about all the reasons why a fire sign will do anything. It's like for the glory, for the passion, or because it feels thrilling. So there's something associated with like hard work, but also hard work associated with something that you feel connected with in a